The day started with a cough. Not mine, but loud enough through the paper-thin apartment walls that I heard every wet gasp. That's what got me out of bed, not my alarm, not my usual dread about work, but the sound of someone hacking up their lungs next door. I'm not a germaphobe, but you hear a cough like that in 2025 and you pay attention. My name's Kyle. I live alone in a worn-out third-floor walk-up in Indianapolis, Indiana. The kind of place you rent because you have no choice, not because you want to. I work at an IT help desk. Most days I wake up already tired, microwave a breakfast burrito and scroll Reddit while I brush my teeth. It's all routine, all background noise. Today, everything felt off. I made coffee like always, but my hands shook. I told myself it was just too much cold brew, or maybe I slept funny. Still, I found myself checking the window, looking at the street. There was a military van, matte black, huge with no license plate, parked right at the corner, engine idling. Not totally weird for our neighborhood, but it had been there since before sunrise. Nobody got out, nobody got in. Outside, the sky was washed out gray. Trash cans sat knocked over on the curb, a broken beer bottle shining green in the gutter. I caught myself staring at it for way too long, feeling like if I blinked it might move. Dumb, I know, but my phone was buzzing, notifications popping up one after the other. News alerts, group chats, stay inside. Something's happening. The words blurred together. Someone in my group chat, Ryan, the guy who never stops sending memes, wrote, "Bro, check the news, some real Resident Evil shit." My stomach sank. I ignored the group and tried to call my mom. No answer. Tried again. Straight to voicemail. My sister Emily just texted, "Call me ASAP." I typed out, "I'm fine," but the message wouldn't send. Signal bar flickered, then dropped. I felt stupid standing there in my boxers, staring at a dead phone like it owed me an explanation. There was a knock at my door. Not a normal knock, but frantic, like someone slapping with their whole palm. I cracked it open and saw my neighbor, Mrs. Carson. She's 80, lives with 3 cats, always smells like cough drops and baby powder. Her eyes were wild. "Have you seen them?" she whispered. "Who?" I asked, my voice breaking. She pointed to the hallway window. "Men in suits, with guns. They banged on Tony's door this morning. He's gone." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I didn't know what else to do. "It's probably just a drill. The city's been..." She cut me off. "You're not safe. None of us are." Then she shuffled back to her apartment, slamming the door. I watched her mail slot flap open and closed for a second. Then I closed my own door, locking it twice. On TV there was nothing but static. Every channel. I tried the radio. Same. I went online, got half a video to load. It showed shaky cell phone footage, a crowd running, a line of soldiers in hazmat suits firing into the air. The video cut out before anything made sense. I started making a list in my head. Food, water, flashlight, batteries. I laughed again, this time softer, because this was ridiculous. Zombie warnings were for video games, not for a guy who spends most nights microwaving ramen and playing Call of Duty with strangers. Still, I found myself checking the locks. I moved the dresser in front of the door, just in case. From the window, I saw a man stumble out of the convenience store across the street. He was bleeding from his mouth, eyes wide like he was about to scream. His shirt was torn, one shoe missing. He collapsed on the sidewalk, tried to stand. Then someone, I think it was the store owner, Mr. Patel, came out, waving a bat. The man on the ground reached up, grabbed Patel's arm and bit down hard, but no one helped. Everyone just watched, paralyzed, including me. I closed the curtains and sank to the floor, feeling my heartbeat in my teeth. I texted Emily again. "You home?" No response. The group chat had blown up, but now it was just memes and panic and then nothing. Silence. Even the coughing next door had stopped. I realized then that nobody was coming to help. The city felt empty. No sirens, no helicopters. Just that military van still idling and the occasional scream echoing from somewhere far away. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept by my bed, shoved some granola bars in a backpack, and filled a water bottle. I thought about leaving, but where would I go? The hallway was quiet, too quiet. I put my ear to the door and heard someone, or something, breathing heavily in the stairwell. So I waited. Every hour stretched longer than the last. I watched the shadows move across the ceiling, counting the seconds between every noise. My phone was still dead. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. At some point I must have dozed off, because when I opened my eyes it was dark and someone was knocking on my door again. But this time they weren't asking for help. This time they didn't sound human. And for the first time I really believed the warning, "You are not safe." The knocking turned into pounding, not fists, but something harder, thudding in a slow, steady rhythm against the door, like someone driving a post into the ground. I clutched the baseball bat, thinking maybe it was Mrs. Carson having a meltdown, or some junkie from down the hall. But the peephole was pitch black. Someone had covered it. My heart beat so loud I thought whoever was outside could hear it. There was a scraping sound, metal on wood. I backed up, tripped over a pile of laundry, caught myself on the edge of my bed. I couldn't remember the last time I'd really been afraid. Childhood nightmares didn't count, but that feeling, that full-body chill, was back and stronger than ever. Then it stopped. Just like that, the silence was worse than the noise. I waited 10 seconds, 20, an entire minute. I was about to move the dresser back when my phone buzzed. No bars, but a single text squeezed through. "Do not open the door." That was it. No number, nothing, just those words. My breath hitched. I checked the window, but the military van was gone, replaced by a cop car with its lights off and both front doors open. The store across the street was dark, glass everywhere. The two bodies I'd seen before, Patel and the guy who bit him, were gone. Then the building fire alarm blared. My heart leapt. The hallway filled with the heavy stomp of running feet, and I heard someone yelling, "They're on this floor! Get out! Get out!" More pounding on doors, then screams, wet, gurgling animal screams. I knew I couldn't just sit there. I grabbed my backpack, wedged the bat under my arm, and pried open the window. 3rd floor. Not a great drop, but the alley below was filled with trash bags that might break my fall. I started to climb out when I heard it. Mrs. Carson, shrieking, "Help! Please!" It echoed down the hall. I hesitated, just for a second, but then another voice joined hers, a voice I didn't recognize. Deeper, guttural. Not right. Something crashed. Glass shattered. I made my choice. I climbed back in, opened my door a crack, and peeked out. The hallway was chaos. My neighbor from 3B, Marcus, was dragging his girlfriend toward the stairs, blood running down her arm. At the other end, 2 figures were hunched over something on the floor, tearing into it. For a split second, I thought it was just a fight, but the way they moved, twitchy, animal, so wrong, I knew it wasn't. I shut the door and braced the dresser against it just as someone, or something, slammed against it from the other side. "Let me in," Mrs. Carson sobbed. "Please, Kyle." The sound of her voice nearly broke me, but behind her that same guttural growl, closer now. I didn't move. I couldn't. Seconds later, the noise stopped. I heard a thud, then nothing. No more Mrs. Carson. I pressed my face to the cold floor, trying to breathe as quietly as possible, listening for footsteps. The whole building was alive with screams, banging, breaking glass. Then, as quickly as it started, it all went quiet. All I heard was the fire alarm screaming into the night. I checked my phone again. Still nothing. I tried to call Emily just one more time. Still no service. Then a new text. Stay inside. They're everywhere. Again, no number. I didn't stay inside. I shoved the dresser aside, forced myself into the hallway. The floor was sticky, slippery, blood. Way more than I'd ever seen. I kept my head down, eyes wide, gripping the bat like it was the only thing keeping me alive. I made it to the stairwell. Someone was lying at the bottom, Marcus's girlfriend. She was twitching, making a sound like a dying animal. I started down, but she looked up. Her eyes were milky, mouth open wide, black blood trickling from her lips. She lunged for my foot. I barely swung in time. The bat hit her head with a sound I'll never forget. She stopped moving. I almost puked right there, but I kept going. Outside, the world was different. Sirens, distant and random. Cars smashed into light poles, fires burning, people running in all directions. Some of them weren't running. Some were limping or crawling, or just standing there staring up at the sky like they'd forgotten what gravity was. I ran. No idea where to go, just away. Past the smashed cop car, down the middle of the street, past neighbors I'd seen every day, now screaming, running, or tearing into each other. I ducked into an alley, tried to catch my breath, wiped blood from my hands onto my jeans. I remembered Emily. She lived 3 miles away. I started walking, keeping my head down, ducking whenever I heard a noise. The city was falling apart, piece by piece. Sirens, more screams, gunshots, barking dogs. I texted her over and over, hoping something would get through. I was almost to her block when I saw a shape in the road. A person. Small, hunched. Emily? I ran up, heart in my throat. It wasn't her. It was a kid, maybe 12, face pale, hands shaking, clutching a kitchen knife. He looked at me, eyes wild. "Don't come closer," he croaked. "They're not dead." Before I could answer, something exploded a few blocks away, more screaming. I pulled the kid into a gas station and locked the door. The lights flickered. There was blood on the floor, on the shelves. A radio was playing. No music, just static and a voice repeating, "This is not a drill. Remain indoors. Do not approach infected individuals." The kid slid down the wall, hugging his knees. "My mom's out there," he whispered. I knew the feeling. I wanted to say it would be okay, but I didn't believe it. We waited. More people ran by. Some pounded on the glass, but I didn't let them in. The kid watched me the whole time, like he expected me to turn on him. At some point, the radio cut out. The gas station lights died. The only sound was our breathing, and somewhere outside, something scraping along the glass. That's when I realized this wasn't just a disease. This was something else. Something nobody was ready for. The dead weren't staying dead, and none of us were safe. I looked at the kid and tried to sound strong. "We have to move, now." He nodded, and together we stepped out into the darkness, hoping we weren't already too late. We left the gas station with nothing but the bat, the kid's knife, and a backpack full of stolen jerky and Gatorade. The city looked like a nightmare version of home. Sirens were going off in bursts, sometimes fire, sometimes police, sometimes just alarms wailing out of half-destroyed stores. The air reeked of gasoline and burning plastic. I gripped the kid's wrist, tighter than I meant to, but I was afraid if I let go, he'd disappear, or worse, turn on me. His name was Jake. He didn't want to talk about his mom anymore, so we didn't. We just moved fast and low, sticking to alleyways, ducking behind dumpsters when anything shuffled by. I thought I saw Mrs. Carson once, staggering along the sidewalk, arms swinging loose and head cocked to one side. but when she turned, her mouth was red and her teeth were broken. Jake looked away. We got to Emily's street just as the sun started to crawl up, turning everything a dull orange. Her building looked intact, windows unbroken, doors still shut. For a second, I let myself hope. We made it to her front stoop. I banged on the door. "Emily, it's me. Open up." Nothing. My heart dropped. I tried her cell again. Still dead. Jake was watching the street, shaking. I pounded again, harder this time. Then I heard movement inside. Footsteps. A whisper. The click of a lock. Emily opened the door just enough for me to see her eye. She looked terrified. "Kyle? Oh my God!" She yanked us in and slammed the door. Inside, it was dark, everything pushed up against the windows, couch, chairs, her bed dragged all the way from her room. She hugged me so hard it hurt, then grabbed Jake's arm, asking if he was okay. He just nodded and slid down to the floor, silent. Emily's hands were shaking. "It's bad, Kyle. People are different. They keep trying to get in. The news said to stay put, but..." She broke off, voice cracking. I nodded. "We're staying, for now." We pushed the fridge against the door for good measure. Emily lit some candles. For a while we just sat there, eating peanut butter out of the jar and listening to the city dying outside. At one point Jake fell asleep, head in Emily's lap. She stroked his hair and whispered, "He reminds me of us. Remember, after Dad left, how scared we were?" I didn't want to think about the past. I wanted to believe this was all temporary, that someone would fix it. But in the morning, Emily's neighbor tried to break in, Mr. Hodges, who used to give us Christmas cookies. He slammed his body against the door, blood running down his face, eyes cloudy and empty. I told Emily not to look, but she watched anyway, hand covering her mouth. When he finally left, he took a chunk of the door frame with him, and I realized the apartment wouldn't hold. We had to move. We packed what we could: food, batteries, my old hunting knife from college, a half-charged phone. We told Jake we'd find his mom, even though I didn't believe it. When we opened the door to leave, we saw two bodies in the hall. One was Mr. Hodges. The other was a woman I'd never seen. Both were twitching, jerking, making wet noises like broken toys. Jake froze. I can't walk past them." I knelt down, took his face in my hands. "Listen, Jake, you're stronger than you think. You have to be." He started crying, quiet and angry, but he nodded. We stepped over the bodies, moving fast, and I tried not to look at their faces. We made it down to the street. The world outside was nothing like the one we left. Smoke was everywhere, the sky a weird, sickly color. People ran past us, some bleeding, some with blank stares. One woman screaming, "Help me," over and over until her voice broke. We headed toward the river, hoping the open space would be safer. I led, Emily in the middle, Jake in back. Halfway there, we got cornered. A group of them, moving slow but relentless, like they could smell us. We turned down an alley, but it was a dead end. There was only one way out. I looked at Emily, then at Jake. I told them to run on my signal. I rushed the first one with the bat, swinging hard. I hit him in the side of the head, felt the bones give way, and he crumpled. The others kept coming. Emily screamed. Jake threw a rock, hitting another one in the face. It didn't even flinch. I had to choose, go back and help Jake or get Emily out. I picked Emily, grabbing her arm and shoving her past the trash bins. Jake followed, but one of them caught his ankle, pulling him down. He screamed. Emily froze. I swung the bat again, but this time the thing didn't fall. It just stared at me with those dead, cloudy eyes, holding Jake by the leg. I yelled for Emily to help me. She picked up a pipe and hit it in the back, finally breaking its grip. Jake limped away, sobbing. I was bleeding, but I didn't know where from. We got out of the alley. The city was burning. No cops, no sirens now. Just fires and the sound of things breaking. We ran to a small convenience store and barricaded ourselves inside. Inside, Jake broke down, sobbing into Emily's arms. I sat on the floor, hands shaking, looking at my bloody shirt. Emily checked me over. "You're okay. It's not yours, it's theirs." Jake wouldn't stop crying. "I'm sorry, I should have fought harder." Emily pulled him close. "You did good. We're all just trying to make it." But I could feel something changing in me. The part that cared about rules, about right and wrong, about saving everyone. It was slipping away. The world was gone. The only thing that mattered was keeping us alive. I looked out the broken window, watching as a group of them tore into a parked car, glass shattering, metal bending. In the distance, I saw flames rising from what used to be the shelter downtown. I realized then that nothing would ever be the same. I couldn't save everyone. I couldn't even save the people I loved without losing a piece of myself. I reached for the bat. Emily squeezed my shoulder, her eyes red but steady. Jake wiped his face, breathing hard, already older than he was yesterday. We sat together in the flickering light, the three of us, knowing we'd have to move again soon. The world outside was gone. The line between good and bad, hope and fear, was gone too. All we had left was each other and whatever we were willing to do to survive.